bhaktan ishan ishavatarakan tat prakasham tatat shaktim Kṛṣṇa Caitanya Sangyakam Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Granthera Arambha Kori Mangalacharana Guru Vaishnava Bhagavan Tinera Smarana Hoye Vighana Vinashana Anayase Haya Nija Vanchita Purana Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear Vaishnavas, thank you so much for joining. We are reading Caitanya-Caritāmṛta, Adi-lila, chapter 1. And we were at text number 44, I believe. We read till 44. Our reading yesterday. Who remembers? We read 44. Where he was remembering his spiritual master, Nityam Prabhu. So yeah, we'll read from 45. Okay. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Guru Krishna Rupahana Shastrera Guru Krishna Rupahana Shastrera Pramani Guru Rupe Krishna Kripa Karena Bhakta Gane. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. According to the deliberate opinion of all revealed scriptures, the spiritual master is non-different from Kṛṣṇa. Lord Kṛṣṇa, in the form of the spiritual master, delivers his devotees. Purport: the relationship of a disciple with his spiritual master is as good as his relationship with the Supreme Lord. A spiritual master always represents himself as the humblest servitor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but the disciple must look upon him as the manifested representation of Godhead. Wow. This is very, very deep. That the disciple, the Guru manifests, the Lord manifests in the form of Guru to deliver the disciple. So in short, Guru is not an ordinary person. He is the manifestation of the Supreme Lord. Why? For the benefit of the fallen conditioned souls. So that, I was remembering the one time His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj was going to some Western country and was carrying the sannyasi staff, the danda. And the Westerners don't know what is this danda. In India, people may be still familiar. So someone asked him, what is this danda? Is it a fishing rod? He said, yes, it's and he quoted from Bible also, that so that the person could understand that this is the danda to fish out the people from this cycle of material world. Yeah, can you have something to say, Prakriti Parna Mataji? Okay. So, yes, very, very important. So the Guru, any bona fide Guru. You want to say something? Your hand is up and you're trying to unmute again. Hare Krishna, Krishna. Yeah, please keep on mute so that we can all hear. So Guru is not an ordinary person. and we should not consider him as an ordinary person. Otherwise, it's an offense, and we will take it cheaply and not give proper respect, or the story of Indra, how Indra disrespected his guru, and what was the outcome. And we also know the story of Bali, how he respected. Actually, the whole thing is happening because Bali got the power by empowerment of Guru. He got the power by the empowerment of Guru, and because Guru is the representation of the Supreme Lord. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado yasya aprasadat nagati kutopi sakshat dharitvena samasta shastri. All the scriptures is pretty much the same verse is there. Samasta shastri, shastrena pramana. It is not just Kṛṣṇa's Kaviraj Goswami is saying I feel like this, or is all the holy scriptures are saying this point, that one should give the utmost respect to the spiritual master as one would give to the Supreme Lord Himself. Okay, text 46. Yes, Kashish Mataji, you want to read? It's a pretty long purport, so maybe we'll take in sections.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam to all devotees. Text number 46. Acharyam mam vijaniyan navamahita karichit namata buddha suyeta sarvadeva mayo guruhu. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. One should know the Acharya as myself and never disrespect him in any way. One should not envy him, thinking him an ordinary man, for he is the representative of all the demigods. Purport. This is a verse from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 11.17.27, spoken by Lord Kṛṣṇa when he was questioned by Uddhava regarding the four social and spiritual orders of society. The Lord was specifically instructing how a brahmachari should behave under the care of a spiritual master. A spiritual master is not an enjoyer of facilities offered by his disciples. He is like a parent. Without the attentive service of his parents, a child cannot grow to manhood. Similarly, without the care of the spiritual master, one cannot rise to the plane of transcendental service. Shall I continue, Prabhuji? Or it's...
Yeah, I can read one more paragraph.
Hare Krishna. The spiritual master is also called Acharya, or a transcendental professor of spiritual science. The Manu Samhita 2.140 explains the duties of an Acharya, describing that a bona fide spiritual master accepts charge of disciples, teaches them the Vedic knowledge with all its intricacies, and gives them their second birth. The ceremony performed to initiate a disciple into the study of spiritual science is called Upaniti, or the function that brings one nearer to the spiritual master. One who cannot be brought nearer to a spiritual master cannot have a sacred thread, and thus he is indicated to be a Shudra. The sacred thread on the body of a Brahmana, Kshatriya, or Vaishya is a symbol of initiation by the spiritual master. It is worth nothing if worn merely to boast of high parentage. The duty of the spiritual master is to initiate a disciple with the sacred thread ceremony, and after this samskara or purificatory process, the spiritual master actually begins to teach the disciple about the Vedas. A person born a Shudra is not barred from such spiritual initiation, provided he is approved by the spiritual master, who is duly authorized to award a disciple the right to be a Brahmana if he finds him perfectly qualified. In the Vayu Purana, an Acharya is defined as one who knows the import of all the Vedic literatures, abides by their rules and regulations, and teaches his disciples to act in the same way. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Do you say any comments on this?
Ji, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. In this verse, Srila Prabhupada is explaining us about the importance of spiritual master. That as you always say, that Guru ke prasad se hi Bhagwan ki prapti hoti hai. We can achieve Lord only by the mercy of our spiritual master. So it is very important to, if we want to progress in our spiritual life, to have a bona fide master who can guide us in the right path of bhakti. And then also they are explaining the importance of sacred thread ceremony, which is having a very important place in our Vedic culture. And they explain that when we have a spiritual master takes our responsibilities of all our good and bad deeds. So we have to be very careful in serving our master, that we do not perform any such mistake for whom our spiritual master will have to bear the consequences. So we have to be very careful in our spiritual life. And then they are explaining the importance of sacred thread ceremony in our culture, that without that, any person who's born either as a Brahmana, Shudra, or Kshatriya, he's Brahmana, Vaishya, or Kshatriya, he's considered as Shudra. So that is the importance in our Vedic culture about the sacred thread ceremony. Hey Krishna Prabhuji, back to you. Thank you so much.
We'll continue reading in the next paragraph. Would someone like to read the next two paragraphs?
You can read, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yes, please.
Only out of his immense compassion does the personality of Godhead reveal himself as the spiritual master. Therefore, in the dealings of an acharya, there are no activities but those of transcendental loving service to the Lord. He is the supreme personality of Servitor Godhead. It is worthwhile to take shelter of such a steady devotee who is called asraya-vigraha, or the manifestation or form of the Lord of whom one must take shelter. If one poses himself as an acharya but does not have an attitude of servitorship to the Lord, he must be considered as offender, and this offensive attitude disqualifies him from being an acharya. The bona fide spiritual master always engages in unalloyed devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By this test, he is known to be a direct manifestation of the Lord and genuine representative of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. Such a spiritual master is known as Acharya Deva. Influenced by an envious temperament and dissatisfied because of an attitude of sense gratification, mundaners criticize a real acharya. In fact, however, a bona fide acharya is non-different from the personality of Godhead, and therefore to envy such an acharya is to envy the personality of Godhead himself. This will produce an effective subversive of transcendental realization. So what I understood here, Prabhuji, that the spiritual master who is the bona fide servitor of Lord Sri Kṛṣṇa, so they are called acharya, but there are some spiritual master, a so-called spiritual master, they might not follow the what true acharya is called, so that's why they are offender. So here this two paragraphs is explaining about true spiritual master and so-called spiritual master. What's the difference between the two?
Thank you. This is all these verses. This whole chapter is very, very important. The tattva, because philosophy is important to understand. Because in this day and age, who's right spiritual master, who is not, what should be our mood, etc. All these verses are so nicely Prabhupada is explaining in all these purports. So let's continue to the purport. Vishal, Prabhu, you want to complete? Vishal? Moksha Mataji? Okay, Vipul Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, all devotees. Ani Pranam. As mentioned previously, a disciple should always respect the spiritual master as a manifestation of
Krishna Mataji, there is some connection issue, I guess. Vipul Prabhu, you want to take over?
Hare Krishna devotees, Dhanur Pranam. As mentioned previously, a disciple should always respect the spiritual master as a manifestation of Sri Krishna. But at the same time, one should always remember that a spiritual master.
At the same time, one should always remember that the spiritual master is never authorized to imitate the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. False spiritual masters post themselves.
Oh, she got signed out. Prabhu, please.
As identical with Sri Krishna in every respect to exploit the sentiments of the disciples. But such impersonalists can only mislead their disciples, for their ultimate aim is to become one with the Lord. This is against the principles of the devotional cult. The real Vedic philosophy is Achinta Bhedabhed Tattva, which establishes everything to be simultaneously one with the defined form of the person of Godhead. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami confirms that this is the real position of a bona fide spiritual master, and says that one should always think of the spiritual master in the terms of his intimate relationship with Mukunda, Sri Krishna. Srila Jiva Goswami in his Bhakti Sandarbha 213 has clearly explained that a pure devotee's observation of the spiritual master and Lord Shiva as being one with the personality of Godhead exist in terms of their being very dear to the Lord, not identical with him in all respects. Following in the footsteps of Srila Raghunath Das Goswami and Srila Jiva Goswami, later acharyas like Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur have confirmed the same truths. In his prayers to the spiritual master, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur confirms that all the revealed scriptures accept the spiritual master to be identical with the personality of Godhead, because he is very dear and confidential servant of the Lord. Gaudiya Vaishnavas therefore worship Srila Gurudev, the spiritual master, in the light of his being the servitor of the personality of Godhead. In all the ancient literatures of devotional service and in the more recent songs of Srila Narottam Das Thakur, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and other unalloyed Vaishnavas, the spiritual master is always considered either one of the confidential associates of Srimati Radharani or a manifested representative of Srila Nityananda Prabhu. So Prabhupada clearly explained this here and in different other parts of the Bhagavatam and in Gita also, that to the devotees, spiritual master is a representation of the Lord, is a manifestation of direct manifestation of the Lord. But spiritual master always thinks himself as a servant of the Lord. So then this combination is useful to achieve the higher perfection. But if spiritual master himself thinks himself God, then that is a pseudo guru. Back to you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Lot of important lessons and philosophical truths in this purport. Achintya Bheda Bhed Tattva is explained. Achintya means it's inconceivable. Achintya. We cannot analyze, we cannot do chintan by our tiny brain. One time, a few followers of Srila Prabhupada started to promote, oh, Srila Prabhupada is Bhagavan. And then Prabhupada didn't like that idea, didn't accept, rather than kind of a so-called guru will say, yes, wow, very good, promote that I am God, right? That's what, or rather he would feel some false pride. Look at my disciples. I'm not promoting I'm God, but they are promoting. But it said that Maunam Sammiti Lakshanam. Silence is the sign of acceptance. But Prabhupada was not silent at that point. If he would have stayed silent, the philosophy would have got totally, polluted. So he, was very strong against them and said, basically kicked him out until they corrected themselves. So multiple Prabhupada's pastimes. And one other time when Kumbh Mela is going on in Vrindavan. Kumbh Mela was going on. And, in Kumbh Mela, raise your hand if you've ever been to any Kumbh Mela. Anyone? It's an experience. It's all the religious groups, thousands and millions of people come. Now, I was fortunate to go to one of them in Allahabad, Prayagraj. So Prabhupada was in Kumbh Mela with a few of his disciples, and big elephants and big gurus from different communities, different groups were there riding on elephants, and they're kind of a festival, kind of a what do you call, like jalus procession going on with all these leaders. And then Prabhupada and his disciples were walking, and then they said, Prabhupada, we will also get a big elephant and kind of a ride for you. We also want our guru to be like them. Prabhupada said, well, it's a good idea, but you bring elephant and we will put Radha and Kṛṣṇa on top of them. So a pure devotee is always thinking of the Supreme Lord, not thinking, oh, let me also get more name, fame, prestige. At the same time, one should not think or be envious. This Prabhupada is mentioning this point, and the translation also mentions this point. One should not feel, why are they washing, the drinking the water from the feet of this person? He seems to be an ordinary person with hands and legs. Oh, why are they garlanding him one after the other, 10, 20, 30 garlands? Why are they giving him so many offerings or this or that? He seems to be an ordinary person. So one who has that material vision, to him, Guru will appear to be just an ordinary person. And what to speak of Guru, even the Supreme Lord will just appear to be an ordinary person, like with a person who has the mentality like Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra. When Krishna came in the court, what did they think? They think he's an ordinary cowherd boy. But those who had the vision, the right vision of bhakti, they could see the Supreme Lord in his true form. So to think the deity as ordinary, some statue is a big offense. Similarly, to think Guru as an ordinary human being with some eyes, legs, hands, etc., is also a equally greater offense. It's Vaishnava Aprad, Guru Aprad. So we should, and similarly, then the envious mentality may creep in if we don't have the right vision, that he must be given everything. Everything belongs to the Supreme Lord. He is the ambassador of the Supreme Lord. That's the ideal vision. One time Srila Prabhupada was in a very opulent car, and some reporters with their material vision, Prabhupada, why are you, your philosophy is simple living, high thinking, why are you using that kind of expensive car? Prabhupada said that even if they give a gold car, fully gold car, solid gold car, that is also not sufficient. Because Guru is the representative of the Supreme Lord. If the Supreme Lord or his representative is there, won't we do the best for them? Or we will do the worst or the cheapest thing for them? No, we should do the best for them. So one should not have this envious mentality, because it will be a big obstacle on our bhakti lata beach. Rather, one should try to give one's best, because ultimately, we discussed, he is the Supreme Personality of Servitor Godhead. The same verse is used for Nityananda Prabhu, and ultimately Guru is the expansion of Nityananda Prabhu or the associates of Radharani. Another very, very important point in this purport The spiritual master is not an enjoyer of the facilities offered by the disciples. The spiritual master does not demand all those things. He does not need all those things. Again, we discussed this point with the offering to the deities. The deities, they are the deities Kṛṣṇa, Lakshmipati, thousands of Lakshmis waiting to serve. Similarly, the spiritual master, they are completely renounced. They don't need our anything. They are always Shri Radhika Madhavayora Para Madhurya Lila Gunarupanam Pratikshana Swadanalolupasya Vande Guru Shri Charanaravindam. They are Pratikshana, they're always absorbed in the pastimes of Shri Radha and Krishna. They don't need the wealth of this world. They don't need the comforts of this world. But we must do our best, because by serving them, we will get chance for spiritual upliftment. Without the care of the spiritual master, one cannot rise to the platform of transcendental service. Again, from the purport. So a lot of important points in this purport. And any other comments, any additions anyone has about spiritual master? Or of course, the discussion does not stop here. We'll continue to read tomorrow also. But texts 44 to 46 are more about Diksha Guru here, and then 47 onwards, which we will study tomorrow, are about Shiksha Guru. And Shiksha Guru also means the instructing spiritual master. Diksha Guru is the initiating spiritual master. Okay, so we will now transition to the Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare